Welcome to Addicted to Quitting, the podcast where we dive deep into the art of breaking free from bad habits by becoming addicted to the benefits of quitting habits that no longer serve us. I am your host, Gentry, a divorced mom to 4 boys, certified public accountant, and a certified life and recovery coach, sober since May of 2018. Join me today as we talk about the art of quitting, cosigning the BS. Buckle up for this one as I'm going to be sharing examples on how you cosign your own BS, how you're cosigning other people's BS, and then some tangible steps on how we can level up your life and quit this bad habit. It is time to level up your life, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. This is Addicted to Quitting, the podcast that empowers you to break free, embrace change, and thrive. Let's get started on this transformative journey together. I am so excited for today's topic because I am like super good at doing this. And so it's super important that I quit doing this, is why I've worked really hard for the past 6 years to quit doing this. But what we're talking about today is quitting cosigning your BS. And I don't know, podcast world, can I say the SH word, or is that going to be bad? I don't know. So I'm not going to say it in this episode. I'm going to consult my podcasters because I don't want to get in trouble anywhere. But we all know what BS stands for, right? Like shenanigans. S with a hit. So we're not going to cosign our own BS anymore. We're not going to cosign other people's BS anymore. We're not going to ask our codependent army to cosign our BS anymore. And we're going to look at ourselves. We're going to figure out why we're even asking people to cosign our BS. And then we're going to work on stopping that behavior. And I'm going to explain exactly what cosigning your BS looks like, or what it is, in just a second. But I just really realized that in my journey of becoming sober and actually taking the steps, right? Like I've talked recently on my Instagram about knowing but not doing. Like I've known that I had a drinking problem. I knew that like I had these dreams, and I knew I wasn't taking action, and I knew that I needed to be healthier, and I knew I needed to work out. And I even heard this on Mel Robbins' podcast. She was talking about like drawing a line and saying all the things you do that make you feel better, and then all the things that you do that make you not feel better, and then just adjusting, like, and then we adjust accordingly, right? But why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? And that's what I want to talk a little bit more about today. Like, why are we knowing but not doing, right? So why did I know that alcohol wasn't serving me? Why did I know that that my relationships weren't healthy? Why did I know that this job was drowning me and I wasn't doing anything? And I think a ton of that comes back to our ability to be in this warped perception of cosigning our own bullshit. Oh no, I said it. I hope I don't get kicked off. I think I said it in the first episode too, but I'm not going to say anymore. Sorry. I got potty mouth, guys. I am who I am. And that's something that I'm going to talk about actually right now, is that we are so afraid to not be ourselves that we start to like suffer trying to live up to other people's expectations, trying to live up to what we think other people want from us, trying to live up to the mom next door, that we don't live in our true authentic energy. And this is like a whole nother podcast, like talking about your true authentic energy. Like that is something I'm super passionate about, and we're going to get into that in maybe next week's podcast. But right now I want to talk about like when we don't lean into our true authentic energy, we don't lean into like ourselves and who we are, and we start to adjust that, and we start to become other people. We try to live up to other people's expectation. We start to get out of alignment, and when we get out of alignment, we start to have like these conflicting feelings, right? And so when we have conflicting feelings, we have coping mechanisms. So when we have these coping mechanisms, typically they're not healthy coping mechanisms. Like they're what we did to survive. It's what we did to be able to keep going. It's what we did to not have to feel the pain, right? And so in your process of living and growing up and becoming an adult, you've developed unhealthy coping mechanisms, and you have told yourself that these are all acceptable because it got you to the next day. And so for me, unhealthy coping mechanisms for not living up to my true potential, for not living in my authentic energy, a healthy coping mechanism, or unhealthy, but at the moment I felt was like, this is my brain telling me this is okay, was alcohol. Like I could drink alcohol, it was fine. And then when I couldn't drink alcohol, I was really good at co-signing why I couldn't drink. I was really good at making excuses for myself for why it was harder for me, right? Like I'm not in my true authentic energy because X, Y, and Z it's harder for me. It's more difficult for me. It's more it's unfair for me, right? Like we're really good at co-signing all of the excuses for not being in our true authentic energy instead of actually looking at ourselves and figuring out what it is that's holding us back. We're really good at instead creating excuses, creating people to blame, things to blame, instead of actually doing the work to figure out how to fix it. So the very first thing that you have to do, the very first thing you have to do when you're ready to quit co-signing your BS is you have to look in the mirror. If you want to stop the bull shenanigans, stop the bull with S with a hit, you have to be willing to put a mirror to you, to your coping mechanisms, to the unhealthy habits you've created, to what you're doing that is not serving you. And that is so incredibly uncomfortable because people think that the things that they're doing wrong are somehow a reflection of them, right? But when you look in that mirror, I want you to look in that truth mirror, like mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the unhealthiest coping mechanisms of the all? Yeah, that's me. No, but I want you to look in that mirror, mirror on the wall. And I don't want you to see your coping mechanisms and the unhealthy habits that you've created that have maybe got you overweight, that has maybe take you out of alignment of who you are, that have maybe got you numbing with alcohol. Maybe it got you numbing with relationships. Like, I don't know how many people I talk to that say like they keep getting in these bad relationships, these unhealthy relationships, because they have created these coping mechanisms to attach themselves to people that aren't healthy, to toxic behavior. They get addicted to the toxicity. They don't believe they're worthy of anything better. And so they look in this mirror and they see all these things that are maybe not as flattering, right? But they're not who you are. They are not who you are. They are accessories. It's the same as if you looked in the mirror wearing an outfit. When you look in this truth mirror, you need to think of it as like, okay, this hat that I'm wearing does not go with who I want to be. Like this coat, this like 17 layers of coats that I'm wearing because I'm trying to protect myself and I'm trying to hide myself and I'm trying to minimize myself. These are no longer serving me. They're very heavy to carry around. They're not cute, right? Like they're pink. I don't wear pink. No offense to girls that wear pink. You just will not ever see, you rarely will see me in pink. I bought a pink dress because I was like trying to be girly, and my boyfriend's like, "Oh, that's so cute," and I'm like, "I don't know if I can wear this." We'll see. You guys stay tuned to my Instagram while we are in Hawaii, because I might be wearing it in Hawaii. I might not. I don't know if I could do pink. Anyways, but you might be wearing like all of the things, these bad coping mechanisms, these unhealthy habits, these things that you're wearing are not your identity. They are not your identity. The trauma you've experienced is not your identity. The 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 overwhelm, the stress, the bad habits, right? Let's just break it down to the bad habits, the bad coping mechanisms that you have been wearing are not your identity. So think of looking in that mirror that you're going to hold up to yourself so that you can stop co-signing your own BS, your bull shenanigans, your B to the H to the it. Um, you are not what you're wearing in that truth mirror. Okay. You are not what you're wearing. So we have to get honest with ourselves. And for you to truly grow into the best version of yourself, to grow into the most peaceful version of yourself, to grow with like the most joy, like the joy that you deserve, you're going to have to look in that mirror on the wall. You're going to have to face some of the things you've been continuously wearing that are no longer serving you, that are no longer in fashion. Okay. Like that coping mechanism of drinking alcohol to numb is no longer in fashion. Okay, I love you. I'm just speaking truth bombs here. I'm not a fashionista at all. I wear sweatpants. If you guys are watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that I'm wearing sweats. But if you're just listening to this podcast, like I am who I am and I'm proud of who I am and I accept who I am, and that's somebody that is a freaking huge tomboy that prefers to be comfy in sweats and boyish. I don't know. I'm not going to say boy shorts. I don't wear boy shorts. But anyways, I keep getting distracted. What I'm trying to say is that for you to co-sign your BS, you are taking way too much ownership over the accessories that you're wearing. You are tying them to your identity so much that you are not willing to look at them as things that can be removed because it's too painful. You think this is your identity, this is who you are, and to remove that is extremely painful and extremely uncomfortable. And I am telling you right now, it is just an accessory. It is just an accessory to who you are. And there are so many accessories out there that aren't bullshit shenanigans, that aren't bad for you, that aren't gonna to make you feel worse about yourself, that allow you to live in your true authentic energy, that allow you to be who you want to be, that you feel free in, that you feel comfortable in, that you feel safe in. And you have to be willing to stop co-signing the BS. So a couple examples of co-signing your own BS is that I used to be very, very good at creating excuses around my drinking. And another really, really another thing I was really good at was getting other people to co-sign it too. And I think that in the process of looking at that mirror, looking at who you are, you have to stop trying to warp that mirror. So like if you get, like when you're in like the kids little kids houses, right? Like at the fair, they pull up in these trucks and it's like this little house that you go through and there's like the distorted mirrors. So when we're co-signing our own BS, we're really good at using a distorted mirror to reflect to other people, like what we think we want them to see, or what we think, like what we are, or how we are, right? Like we're really good at co-signing that BS to be like, oh, this is the person I really am. Please see it this way. Or the reason I'm this is because I have all this, like, this isn't fair. This isn't my excuses, whatever. So like good or bad, we're really good at putting up a distorted mirror to the world and trying to reflect that vision to people. And so when we look at ourselves, like you got to start inward. You have to get honest with yourself, but then you have to get honest with the people around you, because we are so good at putting up that distorted mirror for the people around us as well. Like, hey, like this is so hard for me and I wish I could get sober, but like it's just not fair because why do I have to have an alcohol problem, and why blah 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 blah. And then you distort, like, oh, it's because this happened and like I just could kept putting on bigger blankets and bigger coats and more accessories to like co-sign, like, see look how hard it is. Anyways, I would reflect that out to the people around me. And when I reflected that out to the people around me, I had a codependent army. Oh man, they love to co-sign that BS with me. They're just like, oh, I know it's so hard for you. Let me just sign on the dotted line that it's okay that you're acting like a complete a-hole. Because it's hard, and I know you're trying, right? I'm trying. And like, if anyone that's listening to this, that's one of my clients or in my community, you know that the word trying is one of my least favorite words. Like, try to pick up a pencil. I don't know how many times I've said that in a coaching call when somebody's like, I'm trying. Okay, throw a pencil on the ground, try to pick it up. You're either gonna do it or you're not, right? So I would be so good at telling people, I'm trying. And then I would put this distorted mirror of how hard it is, and I'd only reflect like what I wanted them to see, and then they would co-sign it. And now I have my own warped perception of myself that I'm co-signing and my reality. I have a way to reflect I have a distorted mirror from a playland that I'm now reflecting to my codependent army. And then I have people in my life that I do the same thing for them. And I become their codependent army, because if we can all stay in this big fancy delusion that what we're doing is somehow acceptable, because we're going to just keep warping this mirror to be like, oh no, really, it's not that big of a deal, then we can all live in this beautiful delusion of pain and chaos and numbing and unhealthiness together. And we're going to pretend like it's okay because we've signed on the dotted line for ourselves, and then we've got you to sign on the dotted line for me as well. So congrats, you will live a miserable life, and you will think that you are somewhat happy, but really you will know in the bottom of your pits of your soul that you are phoning it in, that you are allowing yourself to be less than you deserve. You are allowing yourself to not live up to your full potential, and you numb yourself and continue to create those warped perceptions so that you don't have to face the reality. And that is so heartbreaking for you. It is so heartbreaking for you. Like, it almost would make me cry right now, because I'm like, that was me. And there's somebody listening to this right now that is doing the exact same thing. They are putting more coats on. They are putting hats on. They are putting backpacks on. They're putting accessories on that they no longer have to carry, because they have created an identity around what they're carrying, versus removing that. Instead of giving themselves permission to remove that and to create a new image of themselves, to be able to create new accessories that actually make them shine, that actually make them feel comfortable, that actually make them feel amazing, right? Like, the things that we are holding on to that are not serving us, we are holding on to them because we are allowing ourselves to co-sign unrealistic delusions of why we're holding on to them. And so I just, step number one, hold that mirror up to yourself and remove the accessories that are no longer serving you. Like, get honest with yourself. Like, get honest with yourself with a true mirror, not the mirror from the playland in the with the creepy carny that lets you go on for free and smirks at you with his two teeth. That's not very nice. I shouldn't make fun of carnies. Everybody's trying to work. Everybody's trying to. It's a job. They got a job. But you're not looking in the warp mirror anymore. And if you really want to grow and you really want to change, you have to be willing to look at the true mirror. And the same way, like, when I look at a mirror, like a real mirror, if I go to my bathroom right now, I can look in my mirror and I'm like, okay, so I have green eyes, I have a nose ring, I have a gray sweatshirt on, I have my hair in a pony, I can tell you exactly what I look like. I can tell you exactly what I'm wearing. I can tell you, like, the freckles on my cheeks. I can tell you all of these things, and there's things that are like physically mine that I learned to love and accept and be so proud of. Like, there's parts of the identity that you're co-signing that you've created a warped perception around. Like, maybe the fact that you've had some crap happen to you is real, right? Like, that's the freckles on your cheeks. They're real. But all of the like makeup you put over them, or the clothes you're wearing over them, or the way you try to hide it, is not. Those are all things those are coping mechanisms. Those are the things that can be changed. Those are things that can be removed. So you have to get in that mirror, mirror on the wall, truth mirror, honest mirror, and truly look at yourself. And how can you do this? You could journal. You could write out, like, I am doing this and I'm going to own it. And I'm going to say, you know what, this is something I'm no longer going to do. Something I used to be really, really good at is blaming my partner for my drinking. So good at co-signing my BS that it was his fault that I was drinking because he brought alcohol in the house, or because he looked at me wrong, or because he did X, Y, and Z, right? Like, I had to be like, no, I made the choice to drink alcohol. That was a coat I was wearing, right? Like, the truth is that I made the choice to drink alcohol. And for me to be able to take that coat off, because I'm the only one that could take the coats off, right? Like, if he was the one doing this stuff, like, he was throwing these coats on me, like, oh, he's making me drink, right? Like, no. If you want to remove the unhealthy coping mechanisms, the unhealthy habits, the unhealthy things that you're doing that aren't serving you, you have to be willing to own them. Like, they are yours. I don't care if you were trying to cover up the trauma that you had. The fact that you put on the coat of, like, I drink alcohol to numb my pain, is your coat to own and take off. Why you had pain, why you were in distress, why you were overwhelmed, why the alcohol was in the house, doesn't matter. Because you chose to put on the coat that you were going to drink alcohol in those moments. And you have to be the one that chooses to take off the coat. You have to be the one that's willing to take off the coat of the coping mechanism, you have to own it, and you have to be one to make the decision to stop the behavior. It's not anybody else's fault that you're wearing it. It's not anybody else's fault that it happened, because at the end of the day, even if there is outside circumstances, even there's external things that happen to you, you are responsible for the coat that you're wearing, and you own that you're wearing that coat, and that it's your responsibility to remove that coat from your life. It is your responsibility to remove that unhealthy coping mechanism. I don't care how it got there. I don't care that it was hard or unfair, and I'm sorry. I'm not saying that those things aren't true and real and realities. I'm just saying that it is there, and it's a coping mechanism that you developed that is yours to own and yours to correct. So take off the things that aren't serving you. Take off the stuff that's out of fashion, that doesn't fit. Okay, we're getting way too into this analogy. But my point is you have to get honest with yourself. And this isn't an honest with yourself of reflecting that you're a horrible person, right? Like, that's where I'm saying that you have to understand that things that you're doing are accessories to who you are. They're accessories to who you are, and you have to decide if the accessory is serving you anymore, or if it is time to remove it and add some new accessories to your life. Because who you are to the core is an amazing, strong, just hardworking, resilient. You've overcome things to get you to this point, and even though you put on that coat, even though you put on that thing that wasn't serving you anymore, you did it to survive. Like, you are freaking amazing and badass that you have survived. Like, you've made it to this day. You've made it to hit play on this podcast. You saw that the title of this podcast was Quit Cosigning the BS, and you're like, I want to do that. You've made it this far because you know that you are capable, that you are amazing, that you're resilient, that you are like your abilities are so exponential that you could conquer so many things in this world. And you know that you're co-signing BS in your life. You know that you're allowing people to co-sign your BS. You know that you're co-signing other people's BS. And then when you're surrounding yourself with people that are just, all they're doing is putting up these warped mirrors, then you're going to get stuck in that environment. So you have to be willing to be honest with yourself. You have to be willing to put that mirror up and look at yourself in that mirror and say, who am I? Who am I underneath all of this? And believe in who you are underneath all of that. Believe in what your abilities are. Believe that you can change the accessories to be in a better place, to help you grow, to help you be more productive, to help you feel more joy, more peace. But you cannot get there by using the things and co-signing the BS that you've been that these things are all okay. You can't, you're never going to become the best version of yourself co-signing your own BS, co-signing your excuses, co-signing your unhealthy habits, co-signing your unhealthy coping mechanisms. You're not going to get what you deserve and who you deserve to be and who your kids deserve you to be and who your coworkers deserve you to be and who your partner deserves you to be. You are not going to get there if you are stuck in a warped perception of co-signing your excuses, co-signing your BS. And so you're going to put that mirror up to yourself. You're going to put that mirror up to yourself, and you're not going to attach an identity to the things that you've been doing. You are going to learn what you're doing, and then you're going to learn how to remove those things and create new habits. So if you are drinking alcohol and you keep putting that coat on, and you're at this point co-signing the BS that it's somebody else's fault that you keep putting that coat on, I need you to own your behavior. I need you to own your behavior. I know that there are so many obstacles. I know there's so much reality, that like so much like heartache and pain and suckiness that probably happened to get you to this place, but it doesn't matter, because all you're doing is punishing yourself for somebody else's behavior. All you're doing is continuously punishing yourself. All you're doing is punishing yourself and wasting time and using these BS excuses to keep you stuck. So look in the mirror. Like, really look in the mirror, and do not tie your identity to the person that you are, to the actions that you're doing. Tie your identity to the person you know you're capable of becoming, and figure out what accessories are going to help you get there. What accessories are going to help you get there? Right now, you're driving a moped and you need more. I don't know. I don't know where I went with that one. Anyways, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a really, really, really good look, honest look at ourselves so that we can quit co-signing the BS. And then we're going to give ourselves grace for wearing the coat for as long as we did, because there's nothing you could do for how long you wore it. There's nothing you could do for how long you use that unhealthy habit, for how long that you chose to believe in these things, or to have these excuses, or to use these coping skills, whatever it is. We're not going to beat ourselves up for it, because all we're doing is self-reflection, right? Like, okay, here's what I'm doing. These are facts. We're just looking at the facts of the situation. These are the facts of the situation. When you look in the mirror and get honest with yourself, here's the facts. We're going to give ourselves grace for the facts, for where we're at right now. It doesn't matter for how long you've been there. It doesn't matter how many coats you have on. It's just, these are the facts, because the facts and the action plan is what's going to help you grow. Beating yourself up, like, there's no amount of guilt and shame that's ever going to help you grow. And we can give ourselves grace for the discomfort, but I need that grace period to be short, because you don't grow in grace. You don't grow in grace. You can give yourself grace. You could say you did the best that you could with what you had at the time, but we're not gonna keep co-signing this BS. We're not gonna keep putting up these warped mirrors to the world. We're going to own it. We're going to give ourselves grace for finding ourselves in this situation, but we're not going to grow in grace. We're going to grow in action. Growth is going to happen when we actually start taking steps towards becoming the better version of yourself. When you start to actually take action steps to remove the coats, to remove the coping mechanisms, to remove the BS, the excuses, right? So I want you to give yourself grace, and then let it go. And then we're going to move forward. So the action steps are going to be figuring out exactly what you were doing, not why you were doing it, right? Like, go to counseling if you need to figure out why. Go and work through some of these things if you need to figure out why. Even some coaches can help you figure out why. But why isn't going to do S with it hit to your growth, right? Like, we can understand why, but like this, I think sometimes people get way too hyper fixated in understanding, like wanting to like dig deeper of like, why? And in reality, it's like, we can understand why enough to know of how it got there, right? Like, oh, I had this happen to me as a kid, and I put this blanket on then, or I put this coat on then, or I put this hat on then, and started like pretending like it was my identity, or I started making excuses around this, or I started using this as a coping skill. And so you can understand like how it got there, right? Like, we can understand how it got there, because then we want to make sure that we learn from that. But to have to like dig deep into these whys can be like a rabbit hole of things that's not going to really help you with your growth. So I like to more focus on like, how did it get there, and not necessarily like why, because how is just real quick, like, oh, how did I get there? Oh, because I had this happen to me. Oh, okay, cool. So I see that like the correlation of like, this bad thing happened to me and it caused me to start doing this. Okay, cool. How can we unlearn that and create a better way to move forward? So let's figure out maybe how it got there. Let's not waste time digging into why. Why was this way? Why did this happen? Why? It doesn't matter. It got there. How did it get there? This is what happened. Cool. How are we going to fix it? What now? What now? What is going to help us grow to the next level? What is going to help us get more in alignment with ourselves? What is going to help us actually get to the place we want to be? What is going to help us find more joy? What is going to help us find more peace? What is going to help us be healthier? What is going to help us grow and become a better version of ourselves? And the excuses, the co-signing of the BS, the poor coping mechanisms isn't going to equal the best version of yourself. So how to get there? Cool. How do we get it off? What do we do? So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Today is the day that you are done co-signing BS. Okay. You're going to look in the mirror. And now what are you going to do? It is time to prove it to yourself. I can't stress enough the importance of looking at yourself and looking in the mirror and looking at like what it is that is not serving you and having the courage to remove those things and then prove to yourself. Prove it to you, prove it to the people around you, prove it to that little girl or that little boy that like had these big dreams that have just been buried in these unhealthy coping mechanisms, these unhealthy habits. Like prove it to that younger version of you that you are capable of becoming that person that they knew you were going to become. Prove it to yourself. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Give yourself grace, but don't get stuck there because you're not going to grow in grace, right? Like we're going to give ourselves grace on and figure out how we got there, but then we're going to start taking action steps to become the better version of ourselves, to start removing those things, and then we're going to prove it to yourself. And this is where we get excited because this is where we really lean into that new version. This is where we like accepted that we've been carrying things that don't serve us and we've given ourselves grace for doing that, but then we said no more, right? Like we said no more, and now we just get to work every single day at taking a step forward. We get to work every single day at creating new healthy habits and taking care of our bodies, taking care of our minds, taking care of our growth, taking care of our true authentic energy and owning that and saying this is who I am and this is who I'm proud of being, and this is the type of habits I like to wear, and this is the type of the way I like to show up in this world, and just lean into that so fiercely and so confidently, and just have the courage to do that. And I promise you, if you can look in yourself in the mirror and if you can identify the things that are holding you back because you're holding on to things that are no longer serving you, that you're co-signing the BS that you've been dealing with your whole life, that you've been co-signing your own excuses, you've been co-signing your own unhealthy behavior. If you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, I'm done co-signing this. I am done co-signing feeling like this. I am done co-signing using this as an excuse. I am done co-signing. And now I'm going to remove these things and I'm going to start adding accessories to my life that are going to be in alignment with the best version of me. And I am so excited for you to do this. I want you to share about this. I want you to take a screenshot of this episode and be like, I am done co-signing BS. I'm going to level up in my life. I'm going to continuously grow and be better, and share it with your communities, share it with your Facebook, share it with your Instagram, but let people know that you are done co-signing. You're done giving them this false vision of you. You're done giving them this distorted mirror, and you're ready to just be who you are. You're ready to just be your true authentic you. And level up in that true authentic you without co-signing BS anymore. We're done co-signing BS. So as we wrap the episode of Addicted to Quitting, remember that every step that you take towards quitting a bad habit is a step closer to the life that you deserve. So if you're ready to quit co-signing your own BS, I encourage you to sign up for my weekly newsletter. I have it linked below so that you can continuously be motivated, inspired, educated on how to live into your true, authentic, unique energy and quit the habits that are no longer serving you. All right, thank you for joining me for another episode of Addicted to Quitting, where we level up by becoming addicted to the benefits of quitting habits that no longer serve us. Much love to my favorite quitters. This is Gentry signing off. Keep going.